Operation Domination is underway. The ultimate game plan to dominate your NFL experience. With your hosts, Dan
you gotta be confident about your Achilles when you show up.
Yeah, I mean, I got it.
And Adam LaRue. Don't hope to be great and dominate.
Oh, it's the holiday special here for the Operation Domination. Don't hope to win, be great, and dominate. As always, I'm your host, Dan Mater, and we are coming to you early with the betting special of the week. That's why we have the one, the only, Chaz Filardi of Sports Betting Weekly on. Chaz, happy holidays. How we doing, man?
Merry Christmas, happy holidays. You know what? This is so funny because we're normally talking Friday, right?
Yeah.
I ain't going to know what to do with myself Christmas Day and the day after Christmas because I'm going to be done handicapping, which is pretty cool. I got plenty of stuff on my plate, but this will be the first time ever this season and on any show I've ever done where I am making these plays live. Now, of course, it won't be live if you're watching it because it's recorded, but I don't have any plays yet, not one. But I have all my handicapping done. So what I'm doing is I'm going to listen to you talk about the games. I'm going to look and I'm going to make my plays right now. But I will tell you this time of year, I recommend the X. If you know the X that I do, I recommend a lot of X's because it's so hard this time of year. And that's why they have the fantasy playoffs this time of year. Because these last 2-3 weeks, when teams are out of it and guys are sitting out, people that are maybe aren't hurt or aren't playing, but they're saying they're hurt, but they could play if they were in a playoff position. What they say last week, right? The most teams eliminated this time in a long time, they said.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, man, to be done already. And I'm with you. This is the earliest I think I've ever been done too. But I'm going to give you guys a little heads up here. I am going to give you the player props that I have for Christmas Day. However, and I'm going to have an article, by the way, a Christmas special article on the huddle for those holiday bets as well. But I'm going to have you guys wait until Saturday when I drop my typical 15-player prop article Saturday morning on the huddle for the rest of them to go along with Chaz as we figure out this betting slate for the week. So you guys can go ahead and get your bets in early because you're going to have a lot of other things to worry about before you get your butts in front of the TV on Christmas Day and act like it's Thanksgiving. We got 3 games on Christmas Day. It's like another football rolled in holiday. Love it, love it, love it. Speaking of, so let's dive into it, Chaz, because we got a lot we got to talk about, man. Cowboys and Commanders. So this line right now, and again, to your point, we're recording this Christmas Eve. This episode will either drop Christmas Eve night or first thing Christmas morning. Haven't decided which yet, but this line may move by the time you guys hear this because the news of Marcus Mariota officially being out has dropped. Now, I do believe that most people thought that this was going to be the case anyway, so it might not move significantly. But right now, Dallas is favored at 7 points with a total of 50.5. Josh Johnson is going to be the quarterback for the Washington Commanders. And in a way, that's not a terrible thing. He's a veteran who's been around a long time. He has
a long time. God, he's from USD when Harbaugh coached there.
Yeah.
He's got to get at least 22 years or some sick amounts.
17 years, Chaz. He's been like 17 years.
God bless you. God bless him. You know what? Think about it. There's guys that carry clipboards for a living that make $45,000 a year.
And so he's going to come in, and he has an arm. He can make this game what he needs to do, basically, for your betting purposes, is keep this game within 2 scores for the majority of it. Because to me, the over at 50.5 is where we want to be. So Dallas is 10-4-1 against the over, for the over, I should say, on this season so far. Washington, in their own right, is 8-6-1 to the over. As long as Josh Johnson can keep this game within a couple of scores for the majority of it, I do believe you're going to get the points that you're looking for. So I am taking the Dallas Cowboys over, both 13 total and over for the line in this game. But Chaz, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so here's what I see. Every single game this season. Every single game, Dallas gave up points in the first quarter. Every single game. Now, we have heard me preach about if you show up in Dallas, you get 20 points instantly, and it's won me a lot of money this year. They're not in Dallas, of course, but both these teams have nothing to play for. Neither of them are covering against the spread. If you're betting this game, you're betting the number 2 total offense against the number 31 total defense. So, and Dallas defense sucks too. Yeah, I don't know how you should bet the over here. I agree.
Yeah, that's totally what I'm on too. And I got 3 big player props for you in this game too. Nice little same game parlay going on to kick off the Christmas Day slate. It's a trio. I got Dak Prescott over his passing yard prop. It's at 272.5. I have him projected for over 300 yards. Over his last 5, he's had 354, 320, 376, 294. He's only had 1 game in which he's gone under 272.5 at 244, which is still a pretty strong line too, to be a bottom tier line for a player. So yes, give me Dak Prescott over 272.5 yards. And the way he's going to get there is by throwing the ball to his wide receivers. So I have CeeDee Lamb, who's only sitting at 80.5 receiving yards. Incredibly low. I have him projected for over 100 in this game. His last 5 have been 75, 112, 121, 111, and 51. He's averaging 94 yards per game during that stretch. And again, the Commanders are giving up lots of passing yards, lots of receiving yards over the past 4 weeks in particular. George Pickens then piggybacks off of that too. So his line pretty much the same as CeeDee Lamb, just off by a yard, 79.5. I have him projected for over 88 yards heading into this game. His last 5 finishes, 146, 88, 37, 33, but then again at 130. So he's been 3 over the last 5 has been over for him too. And with Pickens, it's not, CeeDee Lamb's going to get the volume. With Pickens, we just need him to get 1 or 2 big plays. That should be readily available against this strong zone coverage scheme of Washington, where they typically give up those seam throws and those perimeter throws to big play wide receivers. So I have the over on Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens to kick off a 3 same game parlay player prop special. Now we got the Lions and the Vikings heading into the 4:30 game. And this is another one where we might see this line move. It's a 7.5 right now with the Detroit Lions. The total is set at 44.5. It's official. And again, this is another situation similar to the Commanders where we kind of figured this was going to be a case, but it is now official that Max Brosmer is going to be the starting quarterback as J.J. McCarthy picked up another injury on Sunday. The Lions have been 10-5 to the over. Minnesota's been 8-7 to the over. If they get over, it's going to have a lot more to do with the Lions than it is going to be with the Minnesota Vikings. But I do expect Detroit to cover in this game because Max Brosmer did not look like an NFL quarterback the last time we saw him start. So I'm going to take Detroit to cover at 7.5. I think they win this game by 2 scores. Chaz, what say you?
So Detroit's hanging on by their fingernails, correct, to play in the playoffs, to get in the playoffs?
Yeah, like 5% chance. Yeah.
But hey, you know what? If you saw a game recently, there was a less than 5% chance of a team winning, and that team came back and won. What do they always say if you're a poker player, right? Chip in a chair, man. That's all you need. And how many times have you and I had a little bit of money, we turned around and kept going and get on a little run, you know?
Yeah.
You got one of the top offenses versus one of the bottom offenses, right? 7.5 doesn't seem like a lot. This is indoors.
Yes.
Remember, Minnesota games used to be outdoors. I don't know how old I am, and I don't know how old it was before they put that dome, but it's been a long time since the dome collapsed, right?
Yes.
So, but they were outside. These games were outside, and it was, -6. And so it changes how you look at it. You got to think Detroit's going to come out and run. But Minnesota's defense is really good, too. Don't get them. They're in the top 5 defense. So, yeah, you know what? I on this game, the one thing that jumps out at me is Minnesota's 7-1 in their last 8 in the first quarter. And that's a weird one because I can't bet that with my money anyway. So I don't have a play in this game. I really do not. But I think if I was going to lean here, I think I might lean on the under. You know what? But I'm not playing it. It's an X for me.
It's an X for you. I don't blame you, but I do have a player prop that I have a green circle around. So I just talked about him. Max Brosmer, his passing yards, his line is sitting at 178.5. I very much have the under on that number. So when we saw him start, now grant you, it was against Seattle, but when we saw him start, he had 30 attempts, but only 126 yards to show for it. Over all of his season, so this includes time that he has come in spots, situations for JJ McCarthy getting banged up, which is there's 4 appearances so far this year. He has had 47 attempts for 220 yards. That is 4.68 yards per attempt. I know Detroit Lions secondary is very banged up. I also know that Max Brosmer is not an NFL quarterback. I expect Detroit's defensive line to get home in this game and Max Brosmer to go under 170.5. I have him projected for about 150, and even that might be a little bit strong.
Yeah, with their starting quarterback, which of course have been a few, and when they put up. The Seattle game was early in the week, right? Last week. I forget. It was an early game, I think. Right? The Rams Seattle wasn't that last week?
That was a Thursday game, yeah.
Yeah, right. They put up the Minnesota guy's stats. He's not in Minnesota anymore. He's in Seattle, and he's just doing the same crap he did last year. Same exact record, right? Everything's amazing. So it's got to be painful. But they're averaging 173 yards a game with the best quarterback. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, makes sense to go under that.
Love it. Love it. All right. So let's talk a little Broncos and Chiefs. This is the Thursday night game on the slate. So make sure you tune in for that. Although I do expect it to be a bit lopsided, and so does the book. So Denver right now is sitting at 12.5 with a total of just 36.5 in this matchup. And it's Olado Kuhn is going to be the starting quarterback for the Chiefs because Gardner Minshew is out. Patrick Mahomes is out. There's going to probably be no Rashee Rice. That hasn't been official of this recording, but I'm expecting it to be because he hasn't practiced, so he's not going to clear concussion protocol in time. Going up against the Denver Broncos defense, it just came off a bad loss against the Jacksonville Jaguars. A perfect opportunity against their division rival to get the bad taste out of their mouth. I don't expect this to be a contest. I do expect Denver to actually cover this huge line at 12.5. So give me that. What do you think, Chaz?
Yeah, you know what? Christmas Day. All these teams want is a quarterback for Santa. Santa, just put a quarterback in my stocking, right? You just mentioned of the 6 quarterbacks, you mentioned 3 of them I've never heard of. Now I'm not a roster guy. I'm not going to be able to spit out names and stuff, but I know I never heard of them. So yeah, so it's so many points. You know, this is screaming a teaser. I'm not a teaser player, but a Christmas teaser seems like will keep you from getting backdoored, right? What do you get? You can go a 6-point teaser. I don't know what you would get for you get Dallas -1, Detroit -2, and Denver -6, right? Something like that.
Yeah. And that could give you a pretty good profit.
What would it give you? 1.5 to 1, 2 to 1, something like that?
That should give you 2 to 1.
Yeah. You know what? I think that's what I'm doing. Yeah. How do you not bet against Kansas City at home? They're in their first quarters, in the last 15 first quarters, they're under in 12 of 15 of them. At home, in their last 6, they're under 6 of 6. Hey, that could be a lean here, but it's so low, right? It's 36.5. All you need is a punt return or a block punt or a fumble in the red zone, and then you're screwed. X.
He said X. It's the one unfortunate thing about the Christmas Day slate this year. It wasn't supposed to be on paper heading into the season, of course, but we have 3 what looks to be lopsided affairs, mostly due to injuries at the quarterback position. I mean, we're talking about...
Or Dallas just sucks, too.
Well, Dallas is like, but their game should be lopsided. I mean, you had Josh Johnson, third-string quarterback. Max Brosmer ended the season a third-string quarterback. Olado Kuhn was on the practice squad. Like, you're talking about the bottom barrel quarterback starting for 3 of these teams in here, while the other side is pretty much healthy. Like, this is why we're lining up.
If the ESPYs gave away an award for the greatest backup quarterback of all time, Sean, what was the guy? It was the Charger guy, Sean something. He ended up doing a TV stuff. he had an incredible career, but I don't think it was 17 years. Just he's been on like 7 teams too, right? I said he got like
He's been everywhere in the NFL.
I just love it. I just love that. But yeah, so I got X's here. So I got an over in the first game and 2 X's, but I might do some of that. I'm definitely going to do that same team parlay that and because that's how we won with San Francisco the other night.
It absolutely is. And if you can
best team quarterback and best team, running back, receivers, tight ends, whatever you think he's going to need to get there. And again, if Lamb's they're not both off the field at the same time ever, right?
No, never. I do have a player prop for you guys in that Thursday Christmas night game. Isiah Pacheco, his rushing yards is sitting at 36.5. Now, I know that seems incredibly low, but I still have the under on that line. So this past game was the only game in which he's actually gone over this mark. He went 58 rushing yards. It was the first game that actually looked like Pacheco was not just the starting running back, but the lead guy that they were finally kind of leaning on. But in a game with Alado Kuhn as the starter heading into this matchup against the Denver Broncos, I'm not going to be surprised if the game plan is to mix Pacheco with Kareem Hunt, sprinkle in a little Brashard Smith. Pacheco's last 5 games, 58, like I said, 16, 30, 21, 34. The Chiefs have not been an efficient run team all year regardless. The Denver Broncos are only allowing 3.84 yards per carry to begin with. And even in this past week when they leaned on Pacheco, it still resulted in about 14 carries. So if he's not going to get over 15 with his inefficiencies and this defense, I don't see how he gets over this 36.5 line in a game in which, again, they're going to be mostly game script dependent, I guess, here, but implied that they're going to be trailing by 2 scores. So even though they have the backup quarterback, they're probably still going to have to throw in the second half to stay competitive. So I do have the under Pacheco at 36.5.
Yeah, I mean, Denver's number 2. Only Jacksonville holds teams to less rushing yards. And and then again, you get behind, and they're going to be behind. They're getting 2 touchdowns. So, at some point in time, it's just going to be a punt fest. That might be the play there. Do they prop punts? Do they have a prop for how many punts there going to be?
Sometimes they do.
I don't think I've ever bet that. I don't think I've ever bet that one, but this I'm going to write that down. Punts.
Find one.
I'm going to look for punts. If I find that, I'll let you guys know.
That sounds good to me. We do have 2 Saturday games that we have to talk about as well. So make sure, fantasy football purposes wise, especially, you're paying attention to that. So 3 Thursday games, 2 Saturday games. That's 5 games before we even get to Sunday. Before you set those lineups.
None of these games we're going to have player props for because you'll have those when? Saturday morning?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm not going to give player props for the rest of these, like Chaz just said. I'm going to give my 15 player prop article. It drops on the huddle. It drops either Saturday morning or very early Saturday afternoon, one or the other. But that's when it's going to drop. You guys are going to have to find my player props there for that.
And it's an easy read because you've said it to me. I read it. It's an easy read. You know what I do? I have a pen. I write down the stuff. And I just bet what I write down.
It's not a lot of fluff. I just kind of get right to the hard data of why it makes sense and why it does not. So Saturday, the first game of the slate is a good one. We got the Texans versus the Chargers. This is a game with big playoff implications, teams jostling for seeding and everything else. So the Chargers are at home. They are favored in this game as of now at 2.5 points. The total is at 39.5. Houston's been 8-7 against the spread. The Chargers have been 8-6-1 against the spread. Houston's been 5-9-1 to the under, and the Chargers have been 6-8-1 to the under. Guess what I'm taking here, Chaz? I'm taking the under on the total line at 39.5 points. The Chargers do not put up a ton of offense when they're not facing a great matchup on defense. Like the Dallas Cowboys last week was the most points the Chargers had put up in about 5 weeks. Now they're playing against the Houston Texans defense, which is elite. The Texans, on the other hand, don't have a great offense. And the Chargers actually have a pretty solid defense too. So everything about this game lines up to the under. That's where I'm going. What are you seeing?
Yeah, they've given up 53 points in their last 4 home games. 53 divided by 4 is a very low number. The only problem, again, is it's under 40, and that's so hard, especially at the beginning of the game. If it's 7-3 at halftime and you got the under, you're walking around happy, life is good, But Denver, Houston has allowed 21 or less in 6 straight Chargers allow 20 or less in 7 of 8. I like the Chargers here. I'm betting the Chargers.
Like that too. Okay, so let's talk a little Ravens-Packers then. The Packers coming into this game are favored at 2.5 points. It is in Green Bay. The total, another 40.5. So sitting on another low-scoring game here. Baltimore has been 5-10 against the spread. The Packers have been 6-9 against the spread. Both teams actually slightly favor the over. Baltimore 9-6 to the over. Green Bay 8-7 to the over. Here's the problem with this game. We might not find out till Friday, but we might have 2 backup quarterbacks in this one. Lamar Jackson's banged up with a back issue. He got knocked out in last week's game. He has not practiced to this point. It may be Tyler Huntley. Jordan Love is dealing with a concussion. He's been a limited participant in practice, but as we know, there's no way players clear concussion protocol unless they get a full practice in. That's going to be difficult to do heading into Saturday at this point. So we might have 2 backup quarterbacks, Tyler Huntley and Malik Willis, playing each other. The Packers don't have, of course, Micah Parsons, so they lost earlier. Josh Jacobs, who's been dealing with a knee issue, he had to come out of the game early last week. He probably should not have played at all. So I don't know how healthy he's going to be for this week. And everything tells me that we're just trending towards another under in this game. That's where I'm going. Chaz, what do you see?
Yeah, as of yesterday, my book didn't have this game listed. I mean, it's showing up at 40.5 -3 for the home team, but my book didn't have it. So Baltimore got the number 3 rush, but the 177 yards a game passing is almost last in the league. And they give up a lot of yards. You know what? I like Green Bay here. I like Green Bay. I think, though, if you're right and neither of them go, I could see this being 13-10 or something.
That might be what we're trending towards. Sunday, let's get kicked off into the early window.
Oh, I got to tell you one more Baltimore Green Bay Baltimore story. So I have New England as the final team in a 3-team round robin and a 3-team money line round robin, and I go to bed. I'm watching it with my wife. She has no idea I'm all over New England. I got their team total over. I got them winning. I got them money line, and they're losing by 11, and she's happy. So I go to bed because I got to get up real early the next day. And she comes in, and she's got an attitude. And I said, "What happened?" She goes, "They lost the game." I said, "What do you mean they lost?" "Yeah, but it was 28-24. And I just sat there, and I didn't know what to do because I wanted to yip and yell, but I couldn't because I didn't want to break my wife's heart. So it'll be the same thing on Saturday.
Oh, a house divided.
Yeah.
Always interesting. It's always interesting.
I love betting Baltimore. And they had a great year. And I went to the AFC NFC weekend last year, and of course I had Baltimore. And I had Baltimore in every freaking ticket, right? I think, or it was the year before, maybe. And they had the one guy fumbled like out of the end zone, right? And there was another stupid play they did. And I was mad. I was mad at my wife for about a week and a half.
Well, I think that was, if you're referring to the game I'm thinking of, that was when Mark Andrews dropped what would have been the game-winning touchdown. In that game too. So you kind of had that going on. Baltimore just had no luck in the playoffs. And this year has been terrible luck even in the regular season, something we're not used to seeing. Also,
the one thing is, it's from the beginning of history and to the end of time. If you run in the NFL and you're a quarterback, you get hurt a lot. Because they get hurt a lot anyway. These guys, you see, one guy was 6'8", 335. They said that number. 6'8", 335. You could live your whole life and not walk into a meeting with a guy that's 6'8", 335. And this summer rooms, he's not even the biggest guy there.
Well, and with Lamar, he's just been so good through most of his career of not taking those big hits. That's why he's been able to stay relatively healthy. This year, it wasn't the hits, it was the soft tissue injuries. It started off with a hamstring, which then led to something else, Because a lot of times it does, because you wind up favoring that leg and you're trying to play maybe before you potentially should have. And that's led to ankle issues. And then this time he gets nailed in the back. And it's just been one thing after another for him this year. It's just been terrible luck. We'll see if he can get it together next season. There's 2 teams that need to get it together next season, too. They're not really playing for anything, but we can still maybe make some money on them. So we got the Arizona Cardinals. They're going into Cincinnati. The Bengals are favored by 7 points. It's a strong line for a bad team, but that's how bad the Cardinals have been in their own right, too. The total in this game is 53.5. So the Cardinals have been 6-9 against the spread. Cincinnati's been 7-8 against the spread, but this is what I like. Cardinals are 9-6 to the over. The Bengals are 9-6 to the over. These are two defenses that are stink. These are two offenses that love to throw the football. So yeah, give me the over in this matchup. What say you?
Yeah, you know what? I've had Arizona burn me now a couple times with their overs, and so let me see what I got here. First quarter over 6-7, first half over 6-7. For the game, they've scored 20 or less and 4-4, but they have allowed 26 plus and 6-7. Their overs are they're 0-6-1 against the spread. Cincinnati's allowed 24 and 8 of 8. Cincinnati has got one of the worst rushing games, but their defense is last in overall, last in rushing, 29 in passing. When 29 is your best, last in points per game. So I'm an expert. I could totally see how you like the over here.
All right. Well, and I might have some player props for you guys in this game. In that article, just a little foreshadowing there. Okay, so we talk about the Steelers and the Browns. We go to the AFC North divisional matchup. The Steelers going into Cleveland. They are still favored, though, at 4.5 points with a total of 34.5. It's very rare that you see that low of a total. Steelers have been 8-7 against the spread. Browns have been 6-9. Both teams actually slightly favor the over. Steelers have been 8-6-1 to the over. Cleveland has been 8-7 to the over. We are not going to have Quinshon Judkins because he had to get carted off and unfortunately broke his leg last week. We're waiting to see if it's going to be Dylan Sampson or Raheem Sanders or Travion Williams, whatever kind of carousel the Browns can pump out the running back position. So it just kind of hinders them a little bit more on offense. Not that they need any help in that department. I don't know if we're going to see TJ Watt, though, on the Steelers side of the ball yet. He still might be another week away from his weird lung injury, the Tyrod Taylor-esque type of injury that was induced by the training staff there. The Steelers are just playing a better brand of football. The Browns do not have a lot of firepower. I know DK Metcalf is suspended for the next 2 weeks, but to be honest with you, DK Metcalf is not a big enough part of the offense for me to really waver in the idea that the Steelers should cover at 4.5 points in this game. I will, however, say I do like Myles Garrett to break the sack record this week, but I'm not betting on it. Why am I not betting on it? Because it's like minus 350. You're not even going to turn a profit at this point. But I do think that's going to happen this week. What do you got in this game, Chaz?
Yeah, you bet a minus 350 and the guy, tweaks his ankle on the first series, and they take him out. Here's what I got in this game. How could you have such a good defense and such a bad offense? It's just mind-boggling. They are just so poor on offense. But I will say one thing. They've been traditionally screwed up at the quarterback position. So that if you play a quarterback for Cleveland, you just have to suck it up for a couple of years. Then you can go become an all-pro somewhere else because that seems to happen a lot here. Yeah, the only thing about Pittsburgh is their defense is not stout, but they're playing an offense is horrible. So you got to think Pittsburgh's playing well enough here to win. They do have all W's in the first half. Listen, 2, 4, 6, 8-1 in the first half. So I like Pittsburgh here. Cleveland's defense, though, I will tell you, they're number 2 in yards per game, but they're 19th in points allowed, where Pittsburgh is the other way. Pittsburgh don't get a lot of yards, but they're real efficient. And that was that stat I've added to my handicap. And so I got yards per game, rushing, passing, total, points per game, yards per point. Yards per point, Cleveland is last. You only need 11 yards to get a point against Cleveland. So Pittsburgh gets 30. Do the math. 30 times 11. It's like 20-something points. I think I'm getting Pittsburgh's team total over in this one. Remember, these are live plays. I didn't know what I was betting until I just said it.
So we're on the same page. I like it when it comes together like that. Okay, so the Saints.
Well, the last 2 or 3 weeks has been pretty nice.
It has been, especially. Saints and Titans. The Saints are going to Tennessee. Two teams that have not been very good throughout the year, but playing actually a better brand of football over the past month. So the Saints are favored on the road at 2.5 points. So the total is 39.5. Saints total for the Saints for the season have been 7-8 against the spread. Tennessee's been 7-7-1 against the spread, so perfectly 500. Saints are 4-11 to the under. Titans are 9-6 to the over. The Saints are the slightly better team. And I kind of understand why they're favored at 2.5 points. And because it's 2.5 and not 3, I am going to take the Saints to cover and win this game by a field goal. Ultimately, what it boils down to me is the Saints defense is just a little bit more complete than Tennessee's defense. Tennessee can stop the run, but they can't really stop the pass. Tyler Shuck's been playing a lot better brand of football over the past few weeks. In fact, they've got over 300 yards passing this past week. And the Saints are on a bit of a winning streak, believe it or not, too. So I'm going to take the Saints to continue here, cover this at 2.5. What say you, Chaz?
Yeah, we had mentioned that last week that, they were up to the Saints played somebody in their division last week, didn't they? I forget.
Well, no, they played the Jets.
Okay, yeah. So they both stink, but New Orleans is a little better, and they ended up winning. Yeah, New Orleans has allowed 10 or less in 6 straight in the second half. Those have gone under 9 of 11, so 9 and 2 to the under. I'm just seeing everything I see here. It's screaming X, 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 X. Everything.
I can understand that. Yeah. Two bad teams usually make some ugly.
Now, here's the thing. We talked about you got to be a little more picky. I'm not being picky. It's just that we got stinky teams playing stinky teams. I'm not. I figured, why would I waste my bankroll management, right, on spreading it out? Because when you like 10 games in a weekend, if you're betting them all for a Cino, that's a Gino. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It can add up real fast. You want to pick and choose based on your bankroll always. Jaguars and Colts. This is a game I think a lot of people are going to look to have some action on. So the Jaguars heading into Indianapolis. The Jaguars are favored at 7 points. A divisional rivalry game. The Colts, you want to talk about teams hanging on by a thread for playoff chances. The Colts are that team. And yet the Jaguars have been so good after being in Denver by 14, that they are favored at 7 points in this one with a total of 46.5. Jacksonville's been 10-5 against the spread. The Colts have been 7-6-2. Jacksonville's been 9-6 to the over. The Colts have been 8-7 to the over. I don't have the over in this one. So the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is a really bad matchup for what is the JV squad of the Colts offensive line, just due to injuries. Like, the Colts offensive line is in complete shambles right now. And I think that's going to not bode well for Phillip Rivers, who can't move, and the Jaguars defensive line that should generate a lot more pressure than what he had to see on Monday night against a defensive line in the San Francisco 49ers. It does not generate pressure no matter what offensive line that they're going up against. This is a bad spot for the Colts. I have the Jaguars covering at 7. I do think they win this by 2 scores in this game, and I'm not touching the over under, at least not on the game total anyway. Chaz, what do you see?
Yeah, it's funny because this is what we talk about. Your year to date. When someone says they're averaging 400 yards a game, whatever, just throw a number out there. That was with their starting quarterback. Now they don't have their starting quarterback. They don't even have their second string quarterback. And I'm a big Phillip Rivers fan. Don't get me wrong, but Jacksonville has been making me a lot of money, and I just keep riding their team total over in Jacksonville. And guess what I'm betting? I'm betting Jacksonville and their team total over.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, let's go to Florida. We got the Florida face-off here between the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Miami Dolphins in Miami. The Bucks are favored at 5.5 points with a total of 46.5. Tampa Bay's been 5-10 against the spread. The Dolphins have been 7-8 against the spread. Both teams slightly lean to the over. Tampa Bay's been 8-7 to the over. The Dolphins been 8-5-2 to the over. The Dolphins played Quinn Ewers last week. And admittedly, and I talked about this on the earlier edition of Operation Domination for the week for your guys' fantasy football purposes, that Quinn Ewers played a little bit better than what I would have expected. At least I did not expect him to get to 260 yards. And I lost in that player prop because I had him on the under on his line, actually. Still didn't have any touchdowns. Still threw 2 picks, but was a little bit better than I expected. However, here's what wound up happening. Because the defense did not have any respect for Quinn Ewers to have the ability to beat them, the defense then keyed in on Devon Achane, making him go under his line for the first time in 6 weeks last week. And as a result to that, the Miami Dolphins were not able to score many points and got blown out as a result. If Tampa Bay does the same thing, which they have no reason not to, it could wind up in the same result. Because ultimately, even if Quinn Ewers plays a little bit better than you expect him to, he does not possess the ability to beat anybody. And if you take out Devon Achane, which is the engine for that offense to be able to score points, this whole thing comes crumbling down. And this is why benching Tua Tagovailoa, even if you are moving on from him next year, which I still cap-wise is going to be a hell of a situation to pull off, it's why it's a bad move, in my opinion. Quinn Ewers just doesn't present anything special for you in the future at all. But here we are. So give me the Buccaneers to cover at 5.5 points. They are in a desperate situation. They have to win out to win that division and get into the playoffs because they're not going to get in other than winning the division. So a desperate spot for the Buccaneers, 5.5 points against a bad Dolphins team heading in the wrong direction. I'm taking them to cover. What do you got here, Chaz?
Every week that Miami coach still has his job confuses me. It really does. But I will tell you, do you remember October? It's been a while. You remember October?
I remember.
That was the last time the Buccaneers covered. Give me an X.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And like I laid out for you, they're 5-10 against the spread. It has not been great. But the Dolphins might be worse. So
there is one stat here. In the second half, teams have been kicking ass on Miami. And the over has been 12-2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an X, but I'm going to put halftime, half 2 equals Tampa Bay.
There we go.
So maybe what'll happen is they'll kind of punch it out a little, and then we'll both win.
That sounds good to me. Patriots and Jets, the AFC East divisional game, and is not expected to be much of a game because the Jets will continue to start Brady Cook for no reason. We know he's nothing. Aaron Glenn, I don't need to see more Brady Cook to know that you have nothing in Brady Cook. Just play Tyrod Taylor to make the game competitive, will you? And they won't do it. This is going to be a bloodbath. And the line presents that too. So the Patriots are favored at 13.5 points. The total is 42.5. Patriots are 9-5-1 against the spread. The Jets are 7-7-1 against the spread. Slight lean to the over as far as their records are concerned. The Patriots 9-6 to the over. The Jets are 9-6 to the over. I do like the over quite a bit at 42.5 here. If nothing else, just for the Patriots to do most of the work and drop 30 plus points on their own. So give me the Patriots team total over. Give me the over on the game. And give me the Patriots to cover at 13.5 because that's how bad the Jets are with Brady Cook, that even a divisional game, I'm still willing to take a 2-touchdown line and say thank you very much. Chaz, what do you see?
Yeah, you got a great offense against a bad offense and a bad defense. So the Jets are bad. They're just bad, but they're a bad organization. So you got to give credit to the ownership. God bless them. Again, because they're playing the Jets, I can cheer for them this week, but I will have New England, and I will have New England in the over team total over.
I love it. On the same page there. Seattle heading to Carolina. The Seahawks are favored at 7.5. The total is 42.5. Seattle's been 10-5 against the spread. Carolina's been 9-6 against the spread. Seattle's been 9-6 to the over. Carolina's been 7-8 to the under. This is my first. Give me Carolina plus the 7.5 points. So yes, on paper, Seattle is definitely a superior team to Carolina. Here's what I don't like. Seattle's going from west to east. We've seen that be a problem for many teams, including the Los Angeles Rams, who lost outright to the Carolina Panthers when they had to do the same thing earlier in the season. The Seahawks are coming off of a big, emotional, overtime comeback win against the Rams from past weeks. I've talked about this before. I'll talk about it again. When you have big emotional wins like that, sometimes it's hard to have the same energy the following week. This is a perfect trap situation. So give me Carolina plus the 7.5 in this game. Chaz, what do you think?
Yeah, they're the better team. Seattle's the better team, right? They're the better team on both sides of the ball. Carolina's 10-3 in their last 13 at home. They're definitely playing better. I don't see Carolina beating them, but the problem with a 7-point game is unless you're parlaying it with the money line, and that I may do that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find some other money line parlays. I'm going to take Seattle money line and parlay with it. Somebody, I'll figure out who.
Okay, all right.
That's what I like. That's my favorite. My favorite thing is get those 13 to 9.5. Parlay those. Because you get a minus 180, you get 3 minus 180s, you get plus 180 or something like that. And again, the the stress level, and people don't talk about it at all. And I'm a big believer in it because I see MFs, I see people throw shit. I've seen it all. I'm old. I've seen it all, and I laugh. They say to me, "How come you never do that?" I said, well, "You know what? I'll burst. I'll let out. Son of a, I'll burst, and it's out of me because I don't bet that much." And we talked about that with the Portnoy thing. The bottom line is the stress level when you don't have to worry about the point spread is amazingly worth the minus 180 all day long, man.
Absolutely is. At the end of the day, as long as you're turning a profit and not going over your skis, you're betting the right way. That's basically what it boils down to. Giants and Raiders. Giants heading to Las Vegas. The Giants are favored at 1.5 points with a total of 41.5. The Giants been 7-8 against the spread. The Raiders been 6-9 against the spread. The Giants been 9-6 to the over, while the Raiders been 7-8 to the under. Chaz, you like to talk about X's. I have a big red one going through this entire game. I'm not touching this game with a 10-foot pole. You have Jackson Dart, who ever since he stopped running looks awful. The Raiders have just been awful in general anyway. And you have no idea week to week the volatility on the usage of their players on both of these teams to not utilize or then utilize their best guys is crazy. Brock Bowers is now out for the rest of the season. He's got put on IR today with a knee issue. I'm just not touching this game. How about you?
Yeah, Vegas is last in offense, last in rushing, 29th in passing, last in points per game, and 31st in yards per point. They got to it takes them 17 yards to get a point. But I have a prop on this one, and when was the last time I gave out a prop? Yeah. If you allow 150 rushing yards a game, right, and you're facing a guy that was the best rushing guy in college, and they're not using him, but if they use him, then Genty should get over his total. I don't know what it is. But I've seen them have him on the bench. He should be on the bench because he's lungs coming out of his mouth. Give him some oxygen, get him back on the field. I can't believe how poorly he's coaching that team.
So Genty is likely to be in my article. So it's funny that you did mention him. The problem that Genty's had, and I talked about it, these are two teams that have misutilized their best players throughout the year. Genty's the epitome of that. They'll have one game where he gets 10 touches total, and another game like last week against Houston where all of a sudden he gets the ball like he's supposed to.
Well, they were throwing to him and everything last week, right?
He had 20 plus carries. One of the games he's had 20 plus carries, and he showed you what he can do if you give him the ball consistently. I will say,
you can't teach. You can't teach what he knows and what he does. You can't. You could have running back university, and you're not going to get a lot of him because. And it's not like he hasn't proven it, but what's the running back need? He needs the ball because it's that, you see it with Henry. It's that 16th, 17th, 18th, boom, 52-yard touchdown because he's been running over people, get his 4 yards, his 5 yards, and then boom, 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 he hits a big one.
And to your credit, with Brock Bowers being out, I tend to lean on the idea that they'll have no choice but to feed Genty the way they should for a second week in a row with a great matchup against the Giants. So, yes, a little foreshadowing there, but Genty likely to be in my top 15 player prop article come Saturday. Let's talk a little Eagles and Bills. This is another big game that we'll all be watching. So Josh Allen, to this point, has not practiced, but he has voiced that he plans on playing. He's dealing with a foot issue that he picked up during the Cleveland Brown game that make him hobbled kind of throughout, which is why Buffalo, they leaned on James Cook. They got the W. Wasn't necessarily the prettiest thing in the world. This game is in Buffalo. The Bills are favored at 2.5 points with a total of 43.5. The Eagles are 9-6 against the spread. The Bills are 7-8 against the spread. The Eagles have been 6-9 to the under, while the Bills have been 8-7 to the over. This is another game, at least until I get more information about what Josh Allen's status is, that I have another big X through. Is anything sticking out to you, Chaz?
Yeah, Philly doesn't give up a lot of points, right? And Buffalo at home scores a lot of points. But part of the reason Buffalo scores a lot of points is, they got the number one rushing game, and a lot of that rushing is Cook and the quarterback. So, yeah, if he doesn't play, I could totally see that. But if he plays, I don't know. I think because Buffalo, aren't they? They're also hanging on by threads, aren't they?
Well, they should make I believe after this past week of the Colts loss, I think they clinched. At least I'm pretty sure they did.
Okay.
A playoff spot anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So and they're not going to move up much unless they think they can beat the Patriots. And
even then, it's unlikely they would move up. They're not going to win a division. We'll put it that way. They're just jostling for extra seating behind that, essentially.
So that's but again, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know because you do fantasy. You gotta be up early. You got to be up early and let them find out, right?
Yeah, so we'll be watching that throughout. Again, he says he's going to play. It doesn't sound like it's a severe injury, but he just hasn't practiced as of yet. So make sure you keep your eyes on that. All right, let's go to the Sunday night game, which is the Bears at San Francisco. San Francisco right now is favored at 3 points with a total of 51.5. Chicago's been 10-5 against the spread. San Francisco's been 9-5-1 against the spread. Chicago's been 7-7-1 as far as the over-under, so pretty much either way. San Francisco's been 9-5-1 to the over. I really want to go with the over here, Chaz, but there's a couple of things that are concerning for both the offenses. So one, George Kittle picked up a little bit of an ankle sprain in that Monday night game. They call it mid to low, which means that he has a chance to play in the Sunday night game, but there's also a chance that he doesn't play.
I did see him come out of the game after he won all our tickets, though. So I was hoping he was healthy.
He did what he needed to do for us on Monday night. We'll put it that way. And I did see him walking. Again, I was at the game. I did see him walking around on the sideline in, I would say, a minimal pain with a minimal limp. And again, that goes to why they said it's a mid to low ankle sprain, but still something we have to watch throughout the week to see if he's going to play. On the Chicago side of the ball, I don't expect to see Rome Odunze. There's a shot for Luther Burden, but we have to wait and see what wide receivers are going to be available for Chicago. Ricky Pearsall, I don't know if he's going to go because when he aggravated that knee injury, that's something we're going to have to watch too. He already missed last week against Monday. We'll see if he practices throughout this week and can play on Sunday. So when you start adding it up, there's a lot of offensive firepower that's going to kind of be missing. But San Francisco's defense gives up a lot. They have a very bend but don't break type of mentality, but they break quite often. Chicago's defense has played much better over the past 6 weeks now, but it's still a defense in which you can throw on, and they're not as good on the road like they're here when they're going into San Francisco. So I'm leaning towards the total, but I reserve the right to change based on who becomes available due to injuries in this one. I don't have San Francisco or Chicago covering one way or another. I think this is a game that very much could go either way. What do you see in this one, Chaz?
Yeah, if this game is not over in the first half, bet it in the second half over.
I like that
right now.
I like that. That's a good call by you. Monday night, our last game of our Christmas Day special. The Rams heading into Atlanta. The Rams right now are favored at 8.5 points. The total is sitting at 49.5. The Rams have been 11-4 against the spread. Atlanta's been 7-7-1 against the spread. The Rams have only slightly leaning to the over, which is surprising for a good offense, but they're 8-7 to the over. Atlanta, again, 7-7-1 as far as the over and under goes. So for Atlanta, is just a coin flip. It's essentially what it boils down to. This is in Atlanta. This is a strong. The Rams are definitely the better team. Make no mistake about it. But this is a strong line for a team going from west to east. Falcons play much better usually in Atlanta in the Dome, and they have been a pretty competitive team themselves over the past couple of weeks. Their offense, believe it or not, has been more efficient with Kirk Cousins than it was with Michael Penix. It's not something I thought I would be saying at this point. I think the Falcons cover. I will take the Falcons plus 8.5. I don't think they win. Don't get me twisted, but I do think they actually cover at plus 8.5 in this game. What say you, Chaz?
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the Rams are the better team. In their last 3 at home, Atlanta's given up 101 points. So you take 101, you divide it by 3, and you say that's a lot of points. The Rams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 2 on the road in their last 13 road games. So that's not this year. That's going back to last year. However, I will be the Rams team total is better play for me. if the Rams don't cover for me in the first half, I am going all in on them at halftime.
Okay.
So this will be both of those, the San Francisco game and the Rams game. I'm seeing the same thing. I'm seeing, just playing with their food early in the game and then boom, boom, boom.
I like that. I also, for the record, I do think this game has a chance to be a shootout. I do like the over at 49.5 on the total line as well. I want to throw that in there. Well, Chaz, that wraps up our Christmas Day special, man. Are you doing anything special for the holiday?
I'm Italian, so I eat a lot of fish tonight. And of course, when you see this, it'll already be past. But I've got the fresh clams, I got the frozen clams, I got the shrimp, what we got? This is our first year ever. We're not doing lobster because I traveled this summer and I hit a place called Flanders Fish Market in Old Lyme or East Lyme, Connecticut. On the way back from, I was going from Rhode Island to Connecticut, and it was the best thing I ever put in my mouth ever. It was a lobster pot pie. And it was so good that I stopped in the middle, I think 3 bites in, and I put a review on Yelp. And I've never stopped anything in my life to put a review. I always say I'll do it later because as a business that thrives on good reviews, if you looked at our eBay store, we're 100%. I want to give. I don't going to expect you to give me reviews if I'm not giving reviews back. It was so good that we ordered them, and they're coming in. And of course, by the time this play, when is this dropping? Christmas, right?
Christmas Day morning by the latest.
Okay. If don't drop it Christmas Eve. If Vicky's going to listen to it, oh, never mind. Vicky's not going to watch because my son, we're surprising her for Christmas. So my son's coming from Hawaii, and she hasn't seen him since we were in Hawaii in February. So she has no clue, and it's so hard because a couple like with the lobster pot pies. Yeah, I had to send them to my brother or to my the other son's house because she would have said, "Why'd you get 5? You don't need. We only have 4 of us." So we're excited about that. But listen, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X's out of 16 games, right?
Yes, we got a good amount to spread the money.
And normally we don't cover 16. We normally cover 15.
Correct. Yeah. So we're covering an extra game on top of it because we're doing it.
That's almost a third of the games I'm just nothing to do with. But I'm hoping that that'll allow me to bet more and win more. I like winning. I mean, catching is. I know it's why we do what we do, but I just never stop being thankful and grateful. But that San Francisco game was so wonderful. It really was.
That was definitely an early Christmas gift for me. And I'm looking forward to the fact that for the first time, my wife and I will be hosting Christmas dinner.
Oh, how exciting.
For us. So we'll be doing that, which means I get to watch football all day on my setup, which is always a plus too. So that's always good. And hopefully for Christmas.
because I'll have those 4 screens on my TV in my office and I found a lot of people don't like having more than one game on, especially if they're not bettors,
Well,
watch one game.
My friends and my family have known that if they're going to come to my house to watch football, they are watching more than one game because I have 2 TVs going, 2 75 inches. One has the 4 octo box, and then the other one, especially if it's Sunday, has the red zone going on there. So that you're going to be getting some action when you come over to my place.
Merry Christmas.
Right, baby. So make sure you guys check out.
I'll tell you right now, that setup would get you wouldn't have to invite me twice. I'd show up early. I know you said 1, but the first game's at 10.
It's beautiful. That is beautiful. And hopefully you guys have a beautiful holiday. Make sure you download Operation Domination on your favorite podcast app and check out our video content on the Fantasy Football Advice Network YouTube channel at FF Advice Net. And Chaz, as you always like to say,
don't ask Santa for winners. Come here first and always be cashing.
Always be cashing. Have a great holiday, guys. We'll see you soon.